welcome back to my studio. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and I make all things party and event. And today I want to show you how to put together this confetti balloon garland. You can buy balloons pre-filled with confetti, but they may not come in the colors you need. So today I'm going to show you how to fill your balloons with your own confetti and put together this balloon garland. So follow along and I'll show you how I did it. To make my confetti balloons, I'm using these crystal clear 11-inch balloons, and I'll be stuffing those with this rose gold 1 centimeter in diameter confetti. Now this is plastic based and not tissue paper based, and I'm also using a funnel that's large enough for the confetti to go through and a spoon. If you're making a bunch of confetti stuffed balloon displays, you may want to invest in what's called a balloon expansion set of pliers, which makes it really easy to open the balloons. But if you're just making a couple of confetti stuffed balloons, a funnel will work just fine. Now I'm going to put my clear balloon over the neck of the funnel, and the important thing is the end of the funnel needs to come out into the bulb portion of the balloon and not the neck. I'm putting 1 spoonful of confetti into each of my balloons so I get a kind of even distribution between all of my filled balloons, but you could just as easily pick up a pinch of that and drop it right into the funnel. Give that funnel a quick shake and then all the confetti should drop down into the bulb of the balloon. Now I'm going to inflate this using my electric balloon inflator, and I want to bend the balloon over so that the confetti doesn't go down into my pump, and then start inflating it. Once the balloon is inflated, let a little bit of air out so that balloon is nice and round and not so pear-shaped, and then tie a knot. Now you'll notice that the confetti is kind of sitting on one section of the balloon and not distributing itself evenly around the walls of that balloon. And to fix that, we need to add a little bit of static electricity. So you can rub your hand on the outside of the balloon, or you can rub the balloon against some of your clothing. Just make sure you're not wearing anything that's really linty that might stick to the latex of the balloon. And so as you start adding static electricity, you want to rotate and shake the balloon so that as that charge builds up in the balloon, the confetti gets evenly distributed all the way around. And now it's time to get the rest of the balloons inflated for this garland. So in total, I'm using 52 11-inch balloons to make up the main body of this garland, and I'm inflating them 2 at a time and then slowly letting air out until they're nice and round. I'm then going to take the 2 nozzles, wrap them around twice, and tie them in a knot. Now if you're not comfortable inflating 2 balloons at the same time, you can always inflate them 1 at a time and then tie the 2 nozzles together into a pair just like this. As you're inflating those balloons, always mix up the size and the color combinations before joining them together into a quad. So I'm going to lay my 2 pairs across each other so that the nozzles touch, and then twist 1 balloon from each pair together, and that's going to lock them into a quad. And then just repeat this step until all your 11-inch balloons are tied up into quads. To add some interesting texture to the garland, I'm also going to inflate 5 of these 16-inch white balloons. I'm just going to let a little bit of air out so they're nice and spherical, and we'll set these aside until we're ready to assemble. I'm also going to accent the garland with some tiny balloon clusters. So I'm going to inflate 52 of these 5-inch balloons in the various colors to about 3 to 4 pumps of air each. And once I've got 2 of those inflated, just like we did with our 11-inch balloons, I'm going to round them up, tie the nozzles together into a pair, and then bring 2 pairs together into a quad. And now we need a way to attach these quads to our balloon garland. So I have some scrap pieces of 260 balloons, and you could use full-size 260s as well. I'm just going to wrap that tail in and out of those balloons a couple times, and that'll secure the 260 to that cluster. And then I just repeated this with all my 5-inch balloons until I had a bag full of tiny clusters. So let's get down to actually assembling the balloon garland. So I've got all my balloons in giant bags in their quads, and I'll be using this chair to tie my fishing line to, and it gives me something to pull against as I build the garland. And speaking of fishing line, I'm using some 12-pound fishing line today, just off of the reel, and I'm going to tie the end of my fishing line directly to the back of my chair. Now this gives me a place to build my balloon garland up off of the floor and gives me something to pull against as I build it. So I just made a simple knot in the fishing line to the back of the chair, and I'm going to grab my first quad and slide it over the fishing line so the fishing line should be right against the nozzles of my quad. I'm just going to take my fishing line then and wrap it around a couple balloons in a figure 8 pattern to lock it in place. And after every time I finish a figure 8, I always want to bring that fishing line back to the center of that quad, and that'll keep my balloon garland from getting a curve in it as I build it. I'm going to grab my second quad and nestle it right up against the first quad, making sure that fishing line is also against the nozzles of this current quad. Once I'm pleased with the placement of that, I'm going to pull the fishing line taut and wrap it around a balloon from the current quad, and then go back and wrap it around a balloon from the previous quad, and then come back to my current quad and wrap it around again. And this will lock the layers together. So as I continue to add quads, I always want to be aware of the colors that I'm putting next to each other. I don't want too many of the same size or the same color of balloon next to each other, and this is going to give me a nice mixture as the balloon garland progresses. So I'm just going to keep doing these steps, always bringing my fishing line back to the center, and today I'm making a 10-foot garland, but 10 feet is too large to fit inside my car, so I'm actually going to make two 5-foot sections that I'll join together once I'm on site. Before I pack the garland up for delivery, I'm going to attach a few of my 16-inch balloons to the garland, and then I'll add the others once I'm on site and I've got it hung. So just like we did with our miniature clusters, I'm going to take a little bit of a 260 balloon and tie it to the nozzle of the balloon. Once I've got that secured, I'll use this 260 to wrap into the garland. Once I decide where I want the 16-inch balloon, I'm going to hold it in about the right spot and then pull that 260 taut and wrap it in between several of the balloons in the garland. Now once you've done a figure-8 pattern back and forth around some of these balloons, that will lock all of those together, and you can just let the tail of that 260 go and it'll disappear into the inside of that garland. I'll be using this same technique to not only add my 60-inch balloons, but my tiny clusters to the garland once I'm on site. I hung the garland to the drop-down ceiling using a pair of binder clips and some fishing line, and secured the two sections of balloon garland together using a 260 balloon. Once I was happy with how it was hanging, I then added in all the tiny clusters and 16-inch balloons anywhere where it looked like there was a gap or I needed another pop of color. I hope you're inspired by today's project and give this a try. Now that you know how to stuff your own confetti balloons, the sky's the limit with the color combinations you can utilize. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe below. And don't forget to check out our Patreon group if you'd like to up your party planning game. Until the next time, you can check out some of my other videos over here. And remember, stay creative, everybody. Bye!